Hello guys, welcome to autoX. Now today you join me at the Buddh International Circuit and I have two very special bikes. Now the first one is the Ducati Panigale V2, Ducati's first BS6 motorcycle for the Indian market. However, that's not the point. The point is that this is the middleweight super sport motorcycle. Now of course, when they say this is a middleweight, you have to take it with a pinch of salt because this is nearly a litre class motorcycle. And then there's more to it because they call V4 their litre class motorcycle, which is also not exactly a litre class motorcycle because it has exceeded that 1000cc barrier. So as you can see, I'm at a racetrack. I'm going to pitch both these motorcycles against each other. Actually, this is not a comparison test. We are just going to figure out if this, the Panigale V2, if this is the new normal, as in can this be called a litre class motorcycle now, because it produces over 150 bhp. It's really lightweight. It has all the sophisticated electronics that you'll find in the V4, but can you call this a real alternative to a litre class motorcycle or its sibling, the V4? So to find that out, I'm going to be helped by a pro racer, that is Simran King, who knows the circuit like the back of his hand, and he is going to help us out with the lap times. But after that, we are going to ride both the motorcycles on the street and we'll find out which of these two motorcycles is the better bet. Of course, these are not meant for street, but if you are a superbike enthusiast in India, you probably might want to take these motorcycles on the road, and that's why they come with headlamps and indicators and road tires and everything. So of course, there is that factor. You can say that these are hardcore track bikes, these are sport bikes, but you are going to take them on the road as well. So our job today is to find out if the V2 can be looked as an alternative to the V4. Here is how the two bikes we had on test compare on paper. So of course the V4 doesn't have a BS6 engine right now. I mean, it's not compliant. It doesn't meet Euro 5 emissions as well, globally as well. So this motorcycle is still the old one, the BS4 version. But as you can see, this comes with slick tires and it also has the full race fairing. There are no headlamps, no tail lamps, no excessive baggage. And it also comes with the Akrapovic sports exhaust, so that bumps the power even more. So this produces nearly 225 bhp. This produces 153 bhp, but of course it also comes with an Akrapovic full system, so there is some power gain there as well. Now for this comparison, we have also done some tweaks to our testing method. That's because we are going to use only the short loop of the circuit. That means not this main straight, not the back straight either. So because that's where the power difference between both the motorcycles will come into play. So we are just going to use the technical layout, which is full of fast benders, and it is the technical section. So we are going to find out if the V2 is going to be more fun. Is it going to be more involving? Will it handle better than the V4 S, which is Ducati's flagship bike technically? So let's hit the track. Now the thing about the V2 that I like the most is that it doesn't feel as aggressive as the V4. So of course the V4 that we have, it's the V4 S version. Like I've already told you, it's kitted out to track specifications. But that bike, the moment you sit on that bike, it feels really aggressive. I mean, the way it's riding posture and everything, you feel like you're riding a race motorcycle. And the same continues on the track as well. So I took this bike out. Of course, Simran lapped these motorcycles, and I'll tell you the lap times later on. But when I took these motorcycles back to back, that one felt really physical. I mean, you really have to do at least 5 to 6 laps to figure out how the engine behaves, because power delivery is also very aggressive. The way this motorcycle goes around corners, gear shifts, everything about this motorcycle is very racy. In the sense, I think you really have to be a professional. Even if you are at intermediate level, you are not going to extract the full performance out of that motorcycle, especially on a technical and tricky section like the back loop of the BIC. It's fast corners, fast switchbacks, and there I think you really have to be awake to ride that motorcycle, because you need to have some experience on your side to get going on that motorcycle to extract the performance from that. Now in comparison, the V2 feels a little more easier. It feels friendlier. Of course, friendlier being the relative term here, because this is also really a powerhouse. I mein, this has a V twin engine, that has a V4, so of course that has more grunt throughout the rev range. But this one, it's a beast as well, but it's a friendlier beast. So when you're riding this motorcycle around, despite being on the road tires, I mean of course these are grippy tires, but despite being on road tires, it feels more agile and it turns in quite quickly. And for someone like me who isn't a regular track guy, I'll probably do track days once in 2 or 3 months. I think this motorcycle makes more sense because it has a longer seat, it's more practical, it's relatively more comfortable than the Panigale V4 S. So in that regard, even if you're riding on the street, I think the V2 makes more sense. But on the track, like Simran was telling me, because this tank, this is similar to the 959. So this is again focused for not pro riders. So he was saying the tank grip, I mean he doesn't get enough support from the tank. Whereas the Panigale V4, that feels perfect. The V2 comes standard with Showa BPF front fork, and although it's fully adjustable, it does feel a touch too soft in comparison to the electronic suspension on the V4. But the V2 leans more easily, feels fluid during quick direction changes, and allows you to stick to the racing line more effectively. It lacks the mid-corner stability of the V4 though, but it follows its line in a predictable manner. And since the power delivery isn't as violent, corner exits tend to be cleaner, and consequently you find yourself going faster. So again, that's a racer's motorcycle, that's pro level. This is something, I mean if you're not a racer, if you're not going to take part in racing events and all that, so this is the motorcycle you need. And here's a fun fact, Simran rode both the bikes back to back, same track conditions with slick tires, Panigale V4 S. The lap time was 1:01, and this is with slick tires, right? This without slick tires, this did the lap in 1:03. So the difference was just 2 seconds. And Simran thought if this bike also had the SC1s, it'll probably be closer because around the tight and twisty section, this bike really flows, it feels more natural. But the V4, it's a racing motorcycle, so you have to be a pro, you have to muscle it around to extract the performance out of that motorcycle. So overall, if you think about it, if you are a track rider, like a pro rider, that's the bike to have. Because the V4 engine, I think it has a lot more soul. But this V2, if you put your thinking cap on, this is also as enjoyable, this is more friendly, you can go around fast quickly, you can learn better on this motorcycle. Of course, if you include the back straight and all, so the Panigale V4 S will absolutely kill this motorcycle. But as the saying goes, straights are for fast bikes, but it's the twisty stuff where fast riders come out. So in that regard, if you want to hone your skills, I think the V2 makes more sense. Plus, like I said in the beginning, this motorcycle on the street, we'll ride it later on and we'll find out how practical or how comfortable this is compared to the V4 on the street as well. So on the track, if you want to go faster, if you like riding, and if you're not a pro, for example, even Simran, who is the fastest guy around here, even he thought the Panigale V4 S is a little too hardcore. So even he thinks the Panigale V2 makes more sense. So that's a pro rider's opinion on the motorcycle. So overall, that's what I also think, because litre-class bikes, not just the V4, all the other litre-class bikes are now going crazy. I mean, this is just a horsepower race. So probably you're not going to use all those 230 horsepower on this motorcycle, even on the back straight. Like if you check, you're not going to extract the full performance out of that motorcycle. You are going to roll off, because that thing this is just an endless source of torque. I mean, it just keeps on flowing. So for a pro rider also, the straight, you can't extract all the performance out of that motorcycle. So in that regard, I think the V2 makes more sense even for the track for me. And even if you are a pro, if you want to go faster, if you want to improve, so I think the V2 makes more sense. Of course, the BS6 version is not available, so right now this is the only bike that you can buy. But it will come sooner or later. This motorcycle will come. This is Ducati's flagship motorcycle. But at least on the track, I feel this is overall a better package, and it's also much cheaper than the V4. So unless you want to go racing, you want to use the drag strip, or you want to go faster on the main straight, if speed is what you like in a straight line, of course the V4S hands down the winner. But if you want a motorcycle that does well everywhere, I think this is the one to have. We also rode both these motorcycles extensively on public roads. So stay tuned for the second part of this comparison.